Did Ilhan Omar marry her brother to expedite the green card process, cutting it down from 10 years to 3? I don't know. I will say there's a lot of people who have talked about it. I normally wouldn't give any credence to stories like this until the Star Tribune reported it. We have this story from the Daily Beast, how the Ilhan Omar marriage smear went from fever swamp to Trump. The curious journey of the unproven rumor that Omar married her brother to get him citizenship, from an obscure Somali diaspora forum to the president. Here's the thing. The Star Tribune, a mainstream paper with, I believe over 100 years in print, said, new investigative documents released by a state agency have given fresh life to lingering questions about the marital history of Ilhan Omar and whether she once married a man, possibly her own brother, to skirt immigration laws. Here's the thing. According to the Daily Mail, Ilhan Omar and the guy she married have a father with the same name. And thus, it's not just a rumor. Okay, so here's what happens. On some message board, someone posts a rumor, it gets picked up, people investigate, they find weird discrepancies and issues, potential perjury. In the end, where do we land? Star Tribune says it's possible, at the very least, she committed not tax fraud. People are saying tax fraud. No, she misfiled her taxes. So I don't know exactly what they're calling it. Like fraud, I believe it's the intent to deceive. But she incorrectly filed her taxes, had to pay a fine. She then got in trouble for using campaign money, I believe, to pay that fine. But long story short, the rumor has traveled from some blogs on the internet all the way to the Star Tribune saying it's possible. Stop. If we're at the point where it is possible, and the Star Tribune is saying so, we are not in conspiracy theory land. We are in unverified, unconfirmed reporting territory or potential needs investigating territory. So the way I see it is perhaps there should be an investigation. Now, there has been. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to prove a lot of this, and there's a lot of good reasons, good things to bring up as to why it may not be true. Because keep this in mind. We can see something like, Ilhan and this guy having the same father. You can also consider that just because, two people were raised in the same household, it doesn't mean they're blood relatives. It's complicated. But I do have some updates that we can go through. First, let's take a look at the Daily Beast, and I'm going to push back. I'm going to try and push back on everybody. But first, I'd like to point out, the Daily Beast has published an opinion piece. This is an opinion piece. It's not labeled. Okay, they do this all the time, right? If you're going to do an opinion, label it opinion. But let me see what NewsGuard says. NewsGuard claims they handle the difference between news and opinion responsibly. I'm going to go ahead and say no. Will Sommer is obviously an activist. He called me right-wing. It's just meant to be an insult. He knows I'm not right-wing. He doesn't care. He's an activist. He's writing an opinion column. That's what he does. And the Daily Beast has published numerous completely fabricated stories. Plain and simple. He writes, when Donald Trump suggested on Wednesday that Rep. Ilhan Omar once married her own brother in an immigration fraud scheme, he demonstrated the remarkable degree to which even the most far-off corners of the right-wing internet can launch unproven, anonymous claims into the national political discourse. Stop. Will is wrong. Trump was asked, to which he even says by someone from One America News. Trump didn't say she did. He said that that's what he heard. There's a lot of talk about the fact she was married to her brother. Not his claim. He was asked about it. And he says, I don't know a lot about it. Someone will look into it. And now he's attributing it to Trump. I'd also like to point out that while the Star Tribune doesn't say definitively she did, it's not the far reaches of the right. It is a mainstream liberal newspaper. And that's when I reported on this. A NewsGuard verified long-standing paper certified across the board said, it's possible she married her own brother. And there's some weird discrepancies here. And I said, whoa, perhaps we should dig into this and figure out if it's true or not, if you're going to claim it's possible. But what does the Daily Beast do? They get a left-wing activist to publish an opinion piece about how it's not true. Congratulations, the Daily Beast. And you know what? Shame on you, NewsGuard. I get it. The Daily Beast does publish a lot of fine news, it's fine. But at some point, you've got to say they are weaponizing fake news for money. And when is someone going to call them out? Sommer writes, the remarks were the first Trump had ever uttered on Omar's marriage, and they represented a remarkable, if not depressing, capstone for the unproven rumor, which has gained steam in the fever swamps for 3 years as Omar became one of the country's most outspoken and controversial lawmakers. The claim that Omar married her own brother as a way for him to gain a green card has been embraced by a number of conservative pundits. Yeah, we get it. Omar, who didn't respond to requests for comment, has denied that her ex-husband is her brother, period, and for good reason. Get yourself copy editor, and that's an opinion. What many of the smears promoters never reveal to their audience is both the evidence Omar has provided to disprove their conspiracies and the fact that the completely unproven idea that she married her brother is based entirely on a single anonymous unsourced allegation, initially made in an obscure internet forum, and that last bit is true. However, since then, there's been a lot of strange and corroborating information, at the very least. Okay, so look, proving that she married her brother is very, very difficult and might not even be true. It's a far-fetched idea. And the way I see it is, back off the claim, because I can only point to the Star Tribune, because it makes it harder to actually go after immigration fraud. Think about it this way. I was in a conversation with another journalist about this, and he said, listen, refugee documents are often, screwed up. They get mixed up, when coming to the U.S., and you can't just claim they're brother and sister. Maybe they were raised by the same guy. They might not be related. And I'm like, okay, fine. They might not be related. They may have had the same, person raising them. Would that not still, provide circumstantial evidence that she may have committed immigration fraud? Like, you grew up in a household with someone, and this guy, mind you, referred to her daughters as his nieces, and they try to make all sorts of excuses for this. It's so weird. It's like, dude, I think it was Wesley Lowery on Twitter who said something like, so it's his ex-wife's kids, so he said nieces because he doesn't want to say his daughter. Is it my ex-wife's kids? I don't know. I think it's really weird if you would ever refer to someone as a niece. It's awfully specific. Sounds like that they're related. And there's a bunch of evidence showing Ilhan Omar has referred to specific individuals as her sister, and these individuals have referred to Ilhan's ex-husband as their brother. And so, once again, you have this narrative bubbling up. But I do want to stress, people refer to their friends as sisters and brothers all the time. The problem is, you need to go back and find documents from Somalia or from the UK and actually corroborate this stuff. And people may be doing it, it's fine. Where I'm at on this is, the Star Tribune has covered it. They said it's a possibility. We are not in fringe, wacko internet conspiracy territory, Will Summer. You are incorrect. Although it was originally from an allegation made in an obscure forum, someone dug into it, and now you have mainstream newspapers presenting this. It doesn't mean it's true. And in fact, I lean toward it's likely not true. Let's make that clear. Likely not true. But she may have done something wrong, at least in the sense of perjury. So here's the bigger issue. Whether or not she actually married her brother, I don't care. It's silly. It's a silly thing to bring up because it's just a character smear. But she did file paperwork saying she didn't have contact with him. Now things get tricky because they have many friends in common, some family members. They have a father of the same name. Maybe it's a different person. Maybe it's one man who raised them both. Regardless, she claimed she couldn't get in touch with him and she wanted to file, I think it's called like divorce in absentia or something. I don't know. Basically stating that you can't contact this person. You have no idea where they are, so you have no choice but to just file this. And under penalty of perjury, you claim you can't contact them. However, her sister, according to like Star Tribune and others, was presumed to be in contact over social media. Or at least there's evidence to suggest they were. In which case, we are not in conspiracy territory. We are in, did Ilhan perjure herself? And is there evidence to prove that she may have? Perhaps someone should investigate that. If the Star Tribune and even Snopes are saying it's possible, then maybe we should actually look into it. I heard a great quote from a journalist at a university who I won't name, who said, a good journalist starts as a conspiracy theorist because any good story needs to be proven. And they were explaining to me that when you think about all of these big stories, like Watergate, for instance, it's a conspiracy. Oh, did this happen? I don't know. And so a journalist has this idea hey man, this may have happened. You investigate it and then determine whether or not it was true or not. Can you confirm it? No, move on. You now have liberal activists. Well, I shouldn't say liberal. Will Summer's not a liberal. He's a regressive activist. He's a left-wing activist trying to shut down an investigation. By all means, criticize the most fervent of the community, but what are you doing? This is not journalism. And this is what the Daily Beast does. They're a trash rag, and this is why I'm working on a fact-checking organization, because this would be a strike straight up. This is an opinion piece not labeled as an opinion piece. End of story. It would just be stricken. No. It's not listed as a column. It's not listed as an op-ed. It's listed as a fact-based news story trying to debunk something, and it's a complete and utter waste of time. Listen, I can't stand conspiracy theories because when you push them, you actually make it harder to find the truth. If you believe she married her brother, you don't start with that claim. You start with, did she lie on her divorce forms? You start with, are her taxes improperly filed? And you move on from there and keep digging. And that's what the Star Tribune has done. The story they're looking at, they presented on June 23rd, was that her taxes were filed incorrectly, and then she illegally used campaign funds to pay the fine, and she got fined for that again. It's not jail time, it's a slap on the wrist. If they can prove she willfully did it, then it's a bigger crime, but probably not. End of story. But from here, we continue the investigation. So it's no surprise we're seeing all of these left-wing journalists saying, how dare you smear Ilhan Omar? And then you see a bunch of people on the right saying, we have evidence it's true. Okay, fine, none of it matters. Okay, present your evidence, publish it Washington Examiner with photos, and they do have a story. I'm not trying to act like they don't. They have a story that says there is evidence. Fine. Get confirmation, and let's be done with it. It's absurd to me that, when I was going to go to Sweden back in 2017, I had people I worked with saying, don't do it, Tim. Don't go do journalism. Why would I not go and investigate this stuff? These people are not journalists. They're activists, and they're stopping journalism from getting done. I can't stand this stuff. Anyway, I got one more story coming up for you in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you shortly.